You can call it sleep deprivation, a glitchy camera, or maybe just a trick of the dark. But I've got the clip. I've sat through it more times than I should, hoping to catch some hiccup or clue that proves I was wrong. Never found one. March 12th, 2024. Time stamped 2:17 in the morning. I was heading north on the A9 near Dalwhinnie, pulling a trailer full of timber toward Inverness. I've been behind the wheel of a rig for well over 10 years now. The roads of Scotland, especially the Highland stretches, are practically etched into my bones. I know every sharp bend, every hidden lay-by, even the patches where fog likes to settle. That night was still, bone dry. The skies were wide open and starlit. Not even a whisper of snow or mist, which is rare for that stretch in March. I'd grabbed a bit of coffee at a station back near Perth and had an old Whitesnake album spinning softly through the speakers. Phone signal was dead, as always out there. That road can go radio silent for 20 miles easy. Just me, my headlights, and the asphalt stretching out into blackness. Then I spotted her. She stood square in the middle of the road, just motionless. At first glance, I figured it was a deer. Happens more than most folks think, but as I got closer and the beams hit her clearly, the outline was impossible to misread. Human. A woman. Pale skin. Bare feet. Draped in what looked like a long coat or maybe a dress. Hair dangling loose down both sides. No phone. No bag. No movement. I slammed the brakes so hard, the whole rig shuddered. Heard the trailer hiss behind me as I hit the hazards and eased the cab to a crawl, adrenaline flooding me. She didn't blink. Didn't shift an inch. Just stared. I stopped maybe 50 feet from where she stood. My hands were unsteady as I reached for the door handle. You hear stories sometimes people in shock after accidents, wandering aimlessly. Maybe she'd wrecked somewhere nearby. Maybe she needed help. I climbed down with my flashlight in hand. She was gone. No figure. No sound. No sign. I spun in place, throwing the light across both verges and into the trees. Nothing but the cold night swallowing every corner of vision. The hazard lights behind me blinked against the tarmac like weak pulses. I shouted out, "Hey, are you all right?" Silence, not even an echo. Back in the cab, I left the engine running while I sat frozen. The warmth had drained from the cabin, like I'd left the door wide open. I checked every mirror, flipped the high beams. Still nothing. Then it hit me, the dash cam. It records automatically on a loop, 6-hour cycles. I tapped through the footage until I reached the moment before the sighting. Froze it. There she was, center screen. Long dress. Pale face reflecting the light just enough to make my stomach twist. But here's the kicker. The camera caught what I didn't. The clip showed my rig slowing down, the hazards blinking, me stepping out of the cab. And right then, she began to move. Not running, not walking. She backed into the woods, one step at a time. Slow. Rigid. Like someone hitting reverse on a videotape. She didn't turn her head, didn't glance around. She simply slid backward into the tree line, her eyes locked straight ahead on the camera. I watched it again, then once more. Every time, same strange retreat, same locked gaze. There was no fear in her body language, no urgency. It felt wrong, staged, inhuman. I sat frozen for at least 5 more minutes, trying to force logic into what I'd seen. Maybe a digital error, a visual overlap. Maybe I was more tired than I realized. But the footage didn't lie. Eventually, I started driving again. Not because I was calm, just because I didn't want to be there anymore. Every few miles, I flicked the beams across the roadside, fully expecting her to reappear like something dragged out of a nightmare. But nothing happened. It was only after I reached a rest stop and showed the footage to another trucker that the fear really sank in. He watched quietly, twice, then asked, "Did you ring the police?" I shook my head. He leaned in, stared at the screen again, and said, "That area? No one walks there. Nearest home's miles out." That was enough for me. I called the cops. I gave them all I had, timestamp, location, the video clip itself. The officer on the phone said they'd look into it, but I could tell from his tone they weren't buying it. One even asked if I'd been drinking. I hadn't. My nerves were too fried to argue. A week later, I got a short follow-up. Nothing found. No missing person reports filed. No footprints, no wrecks, no evidence of anyone being on that stretch. They chalked it up to a shadow anomaly and suggested I get the dashcam firmware checked. That was the first time I thought maybe I really had lost it. But the footage stayed on the device, still as disturbing as the first time I played it. I showed it to my wife, my brother, even a mate of mine who works in post-production. All of them had the same reaction. It doesn't look tampered with. One of them paused midway through and said, "Did you catch the freeze?" Turns out, as she faded into the forest, the timestamp paused. Exactly 2 seconds. Then it jumped ahead. Like time itself snagged. I didn't sleep much that night. A few days later, I was back on the same road, midday this time, sun out. As I approached the spot, something in the trees caught my attention. I pulled over, climbed out, and walked toward it. Half covered by leaves and frozen dirt was a single shoe. A woman's. Light blue, size 5 or 6, rotted halfway through. No footprints nearby, no tire marks. Just that one silent object, sitting like it had been waiting. I didn't touch it, just snapped a photo and walked away. I've never shown that image. Don't want the noise or questions. I know what I saw and what I didn't. The dashcam's gone now. Replaced it. Old one kept glitching every time the clock struck 2:17. These days, every time I pass through Dalwhinnie, I glance at the shoulder. And every time, I remind myself, if you ever see her, standing there, still as stone, do not stop. Drive. Because I didn't, and I haven't had a full night's sleep since.